Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And now, well, basically we're getting a view of our villains being evil and plotting. This is Axel, as we had met before, and we have a new one, a lady named Loxine. Or, somebody with by far the weirdest physical body name I have ever heard in my life. Elrena, which is strange. Would have thought they would have called her something like, Arlene? I'm trying to remember the other one I thought, like, whatever. The point is, they're being evil and plotting, and, well, I mean, as you can see here, compared to Rechain of Memories, yeah, this is before Loxine really developed a lot of her more vindictive qualities as a character, at the very least early on. I'm not really sure whether or not that was down to, like, English direction, or if they just had a better grasp on the character, but yeah, Loxine is very, well, sadistic. In fact, I'm pretty sure in one of the Kingdom Hearts manga she's actually seen reading, like, a sadistic book that you probably wouldn't have gotten away with in the West. Although, then again, considering what we have here, Chain of Memories actually does have one of the more, well, edgier dubs in terms of what's going on here, because I'm pretty sure the word damn is uttered a few times and one instance of the word hell. But, you know, I'll point them out when we get to it. And of course now we have yet another scene of forgetting to remember, and don't worry, so long as we band together, we'll all be okay. Except we won't be okay. We'll forget everything, become sad, dry husks, and then we'll be free to be manipulated by the organization. Which is basically what they plan to do, because I mean, you gotta remember at this point in time, despite the fact that having a Keyblade was pretty much made moot by the later games in the series, around this point, well, I mean, I guess considering the fact that Sora was pretty much the only one still running around, well, you know. I guess I'll get into that a little bit later, because right now we have a more important plot point coming up. Sora's, love for Kairi. Sure, everybody knows that he has feelings for Riku. And, yeah, as we were going to see right now, I think, in a few seconds. Yeah, this is pretty much the only time you're going to be seeing Kairi in this game. What is this? Kairi seems to have regenerated to that familiar blonde face we saw in the castle. How curious! What could this be alluding to? Well, it alludes to a very, otherwise frightening plot point if it wasn't for the personality behind that, little blonde chick being very nice. Again, we'll get revelations to this as we go on, but yeah, let's just say if this was anybody else writing this game, this probably would have gone into some very dark territory. But again, what this is here to establish is basically the beginning of Sora's fall from grace, so to speak. His memories of Kairi being manipulated, and, again, it's creepy, man. But anyway, regardless of such, we're going to continue on, and I will not show you the worlds just yet, because that will be coming in the next part. Yes, we will not go to Agrabah, and this video editor is lagging. And now we enter Monstro, the world that you could only really come across by chance in Kingdom Hearts 1, and, well, we're basically in a whale's intestines. And if you're wondering what this is referring to, this is basically referring to, Pinocchio. The 1904 classic movie, which I'm pretty sure has the word jackass in it, because, you know, different time periods, different, standings in terms of language. Again, see Song of the South. Still panning for that word in Kingdom Hearts 4. Uncle Remus and Brer Rabbit will aid Sora in defeating the Master of Masters. Okay, I'm gonna stop that now. I promise I did before, but, I'm feeling very cheeky tonight. That being said, though, in terms of anything related to the word in question or the property, if I've ever seen it before, does the 1996 thriller movie Pinocchio count? I guess not, but I mean, whatever. The original fairy tale, though, is actually very dark. Like, I'm pretty sure Pinocchio, like, he's influenced to commit suicide, and he ends up, like, choking to death by the rope that he hangs himself with, because he's become a real boy because he was, like, a bit of a shit. And he dies, which is basically meant to be like an allegory for don't misbehave, otherwise you'll commit suicide and die. I don't know. Those sorts of tales are like really weirdly dark, but like also something you could possibly wring a lot of comedy out of. Something that I have taken to heart for those of you who have had a vested work in my own interests, but never you mind about that. In the original Kingdom Hearts, though, this was one of my lesser favourite worlds, mainly because of the convoluted amount of tunnels and passageways that you had to navigate through. Again, it wasn't really one that I enjoyed going through, but I mean, considering how compact the levels were in Kingdom Hearts 1, I didn't really mind it that much. But again, not necessarily one of my favourite levels. So the one thing that I can praise Chain of Memories for is that while there really isn't much to say in terms of how the game... how the levels are really structured, because it is, and something that you will notice if you take a look around the edges, despite the aesthetics being different, these are the same sorts of structures that you saw back in Traverse Town, you know, in the Olympus Coliseum, and in, you know, basically every other world in the game. All that really changes is just, you know, the style of room, which does change depending on which cards you use. Like, I mean, for example, if you have Tranquil Darkness, the room will look something similar to this. If you use, you know, Calm Bounty, you'll have like a general sort of platform where you can collect treasures. And again, it's a good way of using the GBA's limitations to your advantage, and, you know, it kind of adds, like, the distinctive feeling that this is a very limited castle with limited rooms, so that's why everything does kind of look the same. It has kind of that Silent Hill effect with, you know, the fog and making your limitations work with you, and honestly, I kind of appreciate it, even if it probably wasn't something that the developers really intended. I don't know, it's kind of sweet, really. Now, in terms of anything else, and I think mainly in terms of what I was talking about before with the whole Keyblade thing, and why exactly Sora was so important to the organization, was, well, really down to the fact that having a Keyblade was, at this point, and again, I know a lot of people usually did get hung up on this and the whole, oh, well, Sora's the chosen one because he has the Keyblade and that makes him special, but now that everyone has one, nobody's special. Yeah, I'm not really too fussed about that in later games, but I think especially in this one, it does kind of go to show how willing people are to manipulate him, and on top of that, how... well, basically how developed Sora was back in the day, because again, I did allude to this in part 1, but yeah, it's kind of all downhill from here when we see Sora really begin to go down that slippery slope. I'll say no more on it for the moment, but yeah, the Keyblade is a very powerful weapon, and, well, again, if Luxine, Axel, or Marluxia want to get their hands on it, then it kind of says something about Sora's, well, powers, I suppose. I mean, then again, this is also sort of contradicted with the existence of Xion and Roxas, who I'm pretty sure are around at this point in time. I don't know. It's kind of weird and convoluted in a small kind of way, but I enjoy it. Regardless of such, though, again, and well, one thing I probably should have pointed out before, again, you can also get the mushroom rooms, which are, again, something that you could find roaming around the hub worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1, which you could use to get the different sorts of arts for your magic if you knew what sort of abilities and to use on them. I never really got what all of them were. Like, I don't know if it's just me being unable to read, like, character animations, but I was never really sure what all of them were, so... excuse me. Kind of failed on that part. Anyway, we now have Strike Raid, regular. I think I might have mentioned this last part, but I do kind of wish that we did have, like, different choices for which sort of slides we could pick up and which ones we couldn't. Again, I did mention the system similar to Knights of the Old Republic in terms of how you could choose your force powers and then continue to upgrade them as the game goes on. I don't know, I think something like that maybe probably would have been something cool that you could have added to Rechain of Memories, but yeah, I'm fine enough with this system as it is. I mean, it does influence you to keep going, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is me being nitpicky, but yes, this is also the battle with the Parasite Cage, and one that is honestly a lot easier in the GBA version than it is in Rechain of Memories. Don't really know why. I think maybe because one of the little exploits I actually found out recently was that if you reload while in the toxic acid, you will not take any damage, so yeah, if the platforms fall down, you can take advantage of that, really. I can't remember if it works in Rechain of Memories, I might have to test that, but yeah, we'll see how it is. Anyway, thanks to the power of Strike Raid and Card Break, you can actually make the Parasite Cage your bitch, because Parasite Cage is not one to take lightly, because it is a pain in the ass in Kingdom Hearts 1. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. I never really enjoyed fighting this boss, to be perfectly honest. And thankfully you don't have Pinocchio screaming, "Help me!" like you did initially. I mean, granted, he is a scared kid, but, you know, we're doing our best. We're using Cloud to use his exceptionally useful ability of cross-slash. Again, Cloud is really fucking amazing in the GBA version. I don't know if it's just limited screen space, but again, or maybe it's the bigger sprite and hitbox, but I don't know, man, you really get great use out of him in this game, and, you know, while you do get similar usage out of him in Rechain of Memories, but because of the fact that it's 3D for the reasons that I mentioned in the previous part, you don't really get as good a use out of him as you could here. Blah, blah, blah. Freeze. And a weird little chaos control sort of effect there. Now again, I suppose in, for as much depth as I can praise the card system for, I suppose one thing that a lot of people could say in its detriment is that if you have certain abilities that, you know, you enjoy using and stuff that you can abuse, that the gameplay can become very simple as a result. It's something that I can understand to some extent, because it probably wouldn't really rely on a lot of people having that sort of, like, you know, extreme difficulty super gamer sort of thing, like the sort of people that it's like, I played Devil May Cry 3 on the original Japanese difficulty because I am extreme and hardcore because, dude. Yeah, but I mean at the same time though, like, for as easy as Chain of Memories can make it for an optimal strategy to really be the absolute best you can get, at the same time though, it is also a game that I think does encourage you to construct your deck, so, you know, to have a few more interesting combinations, which I think kind of balances that sort of complaint out really, so yeah, something that some people love and some people hate. I can get that. Except people who like Birth by Sleep's command deck system, because fuck that. I'm kidding, by the way. Again, I'm not really sure what I'll do in terms of discussing Birth by Sleep. It's a game I'm very mixed on, and might possibly make for a future review at some point, I guess. I mean, it was the one game that I do kind of blame for setting in motion a lot of Kingdom Hearts' more convoluted aspects. I mean, you could argue that it got its, like, tangential origins in Chain of Memories and 2, but to me, Birth by Sleep was the one that I think really had it going in full force, mainly because of the fact that it was really trying to push up the build-up for Kingdom Hearts 3, which, you know, wasn't exactly fun. Anyway, we also have Blitz. Something that's also pretty interesting in terms of what they added into Rechain of Memories in terms of differences between the GBA version here is that in Rechain of Memories they actually did try and implement the reaction command system where you'd like press the triangle button and it'd act as like a pseudo sort of quick time event kind of thing. Again, it was because the game was also bundled with Kingdom Hearts 2 that I guess they added that. Superfluous, but I mean, it's nothing too special. Again, it's really just to give the player slightly more interaction. Use a slide here and you'll pretty much just go about your merry way. I suppose to get the commentary going, since I have my handy-dandy tangents on hand, one interesting thing I actually learned recently was that in Kingdom Hearts 1, like in Traverse Town where you met, you know, Yuffie, or as if she was initially meant to be Riku, and Squall Leonhardt, you were initially also meant to meet Aya from Parasite Eve instead of Aerith. And I'm not even kidding about that. There's an article that has like a lot of commentary on the artworks by Tetsuya Nomura, and one of them said when it cuts to Aerith, where halfway through development, Aya was cut to make way for Aerith because a lot of the team, you know, loved Final Fantasy VII and they wanted her in. And I do have to wonder, though, what it would have been like to have had a character from Parasite Eve in, you know, Kingdom Hearts. How utterly bizarre, but also, like, extremely cool that would have been. Could have possibly led to a Parasite Eve world, which would have been cool. I don't know. Yeah, wishful thinking, I guess, but, like, I mean, it's the sort of crossover thing that you wouldn't see anywhere else, and, you know, considering the fact that we did also get things like, you know, The World Ends With You in Kingdom Hearts, I wouldn't mind seeing some more Square Enix properties making it in. I mean, you know, you could do Brave Fencer Musashi, a bunch of different stuff, man. It doesn't have to be just limited to Final Fantasy cameos. I mean, it does say Square Enix in the title. We did have The World Ends With You. Or maybe this is just my weird desire to see something that completely does not fit in Kingdom Hearts inside the franchise. Like, I don't know. No, that's just me being silly, I suppose. But again, a weird little end of boss fight sort of thing. Basically, we need to get Monstro to sneeze us out, even though we in the castle and not in the actual whale itself. But yeah, this requires beating the shit out of Heartless and essentially making our way out very, very, very slowly. again, this is part of the reason why I am cutting out a lot of the story sequences. This is literally just... and a much greater example, actually, Kingdom Hearts 1, verbatim. We end up in Monstro, Pinocchio, and Geppetto were lost in there as well, and they get sneezed out into Traverse Town and return to their world, I guess, if it was restored after Kingdom Hearts 1. Whatever. Cloud, take care of these peons. Rawr, I am a tiger, or lion. Why did I say that? Because I'm an idiot. I guess also another reason, there's just not really much to say about Monster as well. I mean, again, I haven't seen Pinocchio beyond the Thriller movie, which was okay. I mean, I can say that I had better experiences watching Child's Play than I did with Pinocchio, but... yeah. Again, not much interesting. Retread of Kingdom Hearts 1, and not really much else in the way of that. I will say that I did kind of prefer Monstro in Kingdom Hearts 1 than I did in Dream Drop Distance, because, fuck me, that was, well, that didn't give me the best impression of the game, I'll say that much, and, I guess one thing I will say in regards to Dream Drop Distance is that the worst worlds are right up front. Then again, I mean, that being said though, I will say that Dream Drop Distance did have a better world selection than Birth by Sleep, because I couldn't stand Birth by Sleep for the life of me. I think that's probably one of my reasons why I tend to like certain Kingdom Hearts games and ones that I don't, is that it depends on whether I like the world selection. So I guess maybe that might be why I like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, because I have a nice set of varietized worlds, and ones that I think are at least interesting to play through in terms of a story sense and, you know, the certain set pieces that you have. Because, I mean, one thing I can say about Dream Drop Distance is that it did have a few things like the Musketeer world that was, you know, decently fun. And even the Hunchback of Notre Dame world, despite the fact that it was, like, very barren and sparse. Yeah, excuse me. I do mostly blame that on, like, 3DS limitations, but nonetheless, I'm fine with dealing with it. Oh, he doesn't need old Jiminy Jillikers anymore. I guess maybe now I'm gonna start haunting drug addicts and get them off drugs, or force them to commit suicide. Well, that got surprisingly dark. I guess you need to remember the remember of memories, reuniting with someone you care about, reigniting the memories of the memories. Treasured memories. I'm pretty sure we don't ever see Pinocchio again, like in terms of like the future timeline. Last time we see him, I think it's this game actually, so yeah, we'll never see him again. Because the next time we see him is like in Dream Drop Distance, which is kinda set in the past before the world was taken by the Heartless. That's a bit of a weird snafu, but whatever. Wait, unless of course in Encoded we see something? I don't quite remember. Whatever, now Sora's having trouble remembering Kairi. The name will start to be erased. Yes, he seems to be remembering someone who seems to be inserting herself into his memories. What is her name? Why should we care? Will we find out who it is? Who knows? Maybe we'll die before we figure it out. But, yeah, again, this is a slow... well, I don't want to say degradation, it's a slow build up towards Sora's little character arc in this game that I can't help but love, man. But, yeah, let's just say this causes a bit of friction between him and his pals. Sora becomes quite aggressive, and, again, I will comment on this later, but it's a side of Sora that I kind of would like to see a little bit more of, especially since in the more recent games he seems to kind of be stuck on either complete cheerfulness or, you know, overblown sadness. Again, that's mainly in Kingdom Hearts 3. Whatever, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time I'll hopefully be a little bit calmer. Catch you later.